Hi there, it's Dr. JOYLYN Maniaci, and welcome to your Power Hour. This is your time to put what's on your mind on my mind, and I will give you my 2 cents for free. And I'm going to put on my microphone here. So now that's higher quality sound. You want to hear this full out because we are talking some really cool shit today, all right? The do's and don'ts of personal growth. Now that might just sound do this, don't do that, and there's a little bit of that. But in these do's and don'ts that I came up with, this is coming from my experience, from the wealth of knowledge that comes from others, my clients' experiences, all the books I've read, all this stuff, so that you can progress faster. Because when I'm talking about don'ts, that's the shit that holds you up and keeps you stuck. And we don't want to do that. Why? Because it hurts. It doesn't feel good. So let's have a little bit of that, little bit more ease, please, okay? So we're talking about personal growth, and I threw out some questions. I threw a question out to the group, why do you do it? You know, some really great responses as far as what is, oh, welcome, Ruby, which I know your real name, but welcome, so glad to have you. I asked why some people do personal growth, and it's interesting and very eye-opening as far as to what are the motivators, and that's why I even started to tag this and talk about being selfish to be selfless, because for a lot of people, what's inspiring or motivating their own personal growth is what somebody else is going to get. And we're going to get to that. But what I want to stress is the reason for personal growth is you. You came here for you. You are the big cheese. You are the reason for your existence. You came here to have an experience, an embodied 3-dimensional experience on this planet Earth. You came to know you. You came to learn where and how to love you better. You are the reason you're here. And everything that you experience then gets shared with the universal, so we don't have to try so hard for it to be of benefit to someone else. But for so many of us highly sensitive and empathic people, everything about us has been about somebody else, including why we're doing personal work. And that's it. Oh, it was like a knife through the heart. So I'm going to hit that real hard. But here are the reasons, the things that hopefully are on your list for why you do personal growth is to be happier. When we are disconnected from ourselves, we hurt. It hurts. It's like there's an actual physical pain and an emotional response to being separated from ourselves, from our souls, from remembering who we really are. It can express in a myriad different ways: depression, anxiety, attention deficit, schizophrenia, narcissism. When we get disconnected from ourselves, we go into really weird, strange coping mechanisms, and our body is giving us symptoms, including emotional symptoms, that says, hey, we've lost connection to ourselves. Now, when we do personal work and we reconnect with ourselves, we get happier. We get clearer. Our confidence goes up, and we start to like ourselves. If you don't like yourself, if you are telling yourself mean things, if you are constantly critical, then any personal growth work you do should be alleviating that and moving you out of that, reconnecting you with yourself so that you appreciate yourself and get filled with gratitude for, holy shit, I get to be me. Nobody else gets this. I get it. This is awesome. That's what I want for you. That's what personal growth should be bringing up for you. It should be improving, increasing, strengthening your trust in yourself. Now, I know a lot of really intelligent people, and I don't mean, but myself included, like people who are really strong intellectually and coming up in a family system that was about somebody else, that I was not trained, shown, modeled, encouraged to trust myself. So I know very well how to second guess and doubt every single thought that I have. Intuition, I know you're You're quick and you came up fast, but you're talking too quiet and you don't make any sense. So let's not have any of that. Well, if you're doing personal growth work, you should be reconnecting with yourself, having more stronger intuitive hits and following them, and building and learning how to trust yourself. Happier, like yourself, confident, trust yourself, raising the bottom. So that in this journey, there is going to be highs and lows. I'll tell you about one of that happened to mine this morning. Okay, so there's going to still be highs and lows. We don't have to worry about that. The only time we flatline is when we die, okay? So it's going to be ups and downs, but as we do this growth work and we raise our frequency, we're raising the bottom so that the lows aren't as low. We're able to maintain some perspective and objectivity. We're able to keep a sense of humor about it. We're able to see sort of big picture and roll with it much better. This is what personal work can do. And also having more calm and harmony. And when things are chaotic, of knowing that it's the dance of life. Some of it is actually necessitated or just part and parcel of having a physical three-dimensional reality. You were and are a soul and came from a time where you had no time or physical constraints. If you wanted to be somewhere, you were there because you were all energy, and so it was instantaneous. Now you got a body that's got to actually physically move and geolocate to somewhere else, and that takes more energy. So there's going to be some frustration and some irritation because why? But if we stop fighting that, we get more calm and harmony, we roll with the process, and we start to have gratitude for it all, okay? These, to me, are the real reasons for personal growth, is so I can be happier. I am the big deal. I am the big cheese. I am the reason I exist. Me, 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 me. Does it make me narcissist? I don't care if you say so. I get to be happier because I finally get to include me. My personal growth is about me and it's for me. Then what happens when we actually claim that amount of attention and be willing and so audacious as to even display a shred of narcissism, if that's what people are going to throw out at you, you get lit up because you start to get reconnected with your soul. You finally get to say, oh my God, this attention, this loving that I've been craving, I can deliver that for myself. So now it's there all the time. And I'm curious about me, and I get to know all these, like, I call them JOYLYNisms, you know? I get to know all these little things about me that make me me. And they're fun to learn. Like, I nerd out. Tell me about my astrology chart, talk all day about human design. Tell me about me, because I think this stuff's fun to know. It lights me up. When I'm lit up, I overflow, I shine a light, I am a light for other people. Okay, so we've all been thinking somebody else has to be my focus, otherwise it's selfish and narcissistic and damaging and it's not going to help the world. It is. When you light up and you fill up from the inside, you're no longer requiring external validation. You're no longer needing things from other people. You get to overflow and spread the love and light, okay? But it's got to be inside first. So you get being an inspiration to others, being able to alleviate someone else's suffering, having the right words at the right time, boosting someone else's confidence. Those are what I call fringe benefits. It's part of the win-win that we don't really, we kind of know is possible, but it seems a little bit for someone else or something like that. It's a win-win. These are fringe benefits. They happen after and as a result and product of our concentrating on ourselves, loving ourselves, and devoting time and attention to ourselves, to our own personal growth work for our own freaking benefit and getting to be happier and laugh more, okay? There you go. I just wanted to lay that out because when I threw out this question in another group, that there were so many responses of, I'm doing my personal work for so-and-so, my grandkids, my kids, my husband, so they'll see, so this or that. And it was all about someone else. And what happens is whenever we set up our work and our measure of success on someone else's behavior, it is a setup for failure. then we require them to behave or respond in a certain way to let us know that what we're doing is working. It's decreasing our self-trust. It's eroding that. It's making someone else the big cheese and big deal of our life, which will leave us eventually feeling burnt out and resentful as fuck. We're going to start hating those people and irritated with them. And everything that they do is going to be irritating because my success, my validity as a person is based on their response. And then we feel powerless because no matter what we do or how much we try, and we even know this on a certain level, we can't change them. We can't control them. And if we do successfully, they will hate us because that is a complete infraction of autonomy, which actually autonomy is a human need. That's not a luxury, that's a need. You find teenagers, when we're coming into our own, we fight like hell for that autonomy because that's something we need. So if we step on someone else's or let somebody step on ours, there is big time friction and pain and damage there, okay? So when we do personal growth work, it's got to be for us. If it's for or about someone else, we're setting ourselves up for failure and more pain and expectations and dirty agendas because then we need them to behave or change in a certain way to let us know that we're making progress, that it's working, that it's a good thing to do. No bueno, okay? So that's a big one. And if you haven't guessed, that's on the don'ts list, all right? So we're talking do's and don'ts, and I'm just going to be going back and forth, getting as many as I can in the time that we've got today. I just took a breath because I was like, all right, get ready. Take a short pause because it's coming at you, all right? So I'll just reiterate, the biggest do of personal growth work is do it for you. You count. You matter. You're important here, okay? Include you. Your life up until now has been about someone else. In your childhood, in your infancy, it was necessary for survival. So no judgment that this is how it is and what you might be struggling with for now. But now you get to know you fucking count. You matter. The world needs you. I love you. You love you now. You include you. Do it for you. Because if nobody else benefits at all, you do. And that's fucking sweet, okay? So do it for you. Don't do it because of, for, in spite of, or despite anyone else, okay? The next thing you've got to have on the do's list is, do you have a reason or motivation to do this, okay? Know what it is you're going for so that you know where you're going. And what you're doing it for will help be intrinsic motivation to help you keep going when the going gets tough, because it will get tough sometimes. In personal growth work, in anything that's worth its salt, you're going to have some challenge because you're coming up against some really deeply rooted beliefs. Things that were so ubiquitous with your existence that it will make you question yourself and your whole life, because if it isn't true, then what? Those are good questions to ask. It's part of the process, but it can be pretty rattling. And if you don't have an idea of why you're even questioning or what you're going through, it's going to be really easy to give up. You've got to have a reason, a target. But you will know, anybody who's been in the 90-day relationship model knows that when I'm talking targets, happiness brain training is the same. When I'm talking about targets, I'm talking about energetic targets. Because again, if we, on the don't list, make it about an outcome, it's too easy to say I'm failing. And then it also is something outside of yourself, a situation, a person, a something that has to happen or change for me to know that I'm successful. But when it's an energetic target, then I will be able to know at any time I can check in to know, how am I on course or off course? Am I making progress? So we're looking at things like, And let's say you've got a relationship that you're struggling with. And so you do personal growth work because you know you're part of it and they're not going to do something right now. You like reading these books. They don't, whatever. But it's not going to say, I'm going to know my target is to, I don't know. I have still even but it's basically, I want to feel loved. I want to feel sexy. Not, I want my partner to buy me something. I want my partner to initiate sex more often. I want my partner to do this. Or I'm doing this so that my partner does this. I want to feel sexy. I want to rock this bod. I want to live it up and be so freaking lit up that I'm irresistible because confidence is sexy, okay? I want to feel sexy. I want to feel loved and appreciated. Guess what? A lot of times, we can start that process and it makes a big difference. I start loving and appreciating me. Then all of a sudden, somebody else recognizes, oh, that's how you want to be treated. Oh, that's what it looks like. Now I understand what you're talking about. So it's got to be about us, for us, energetic, and how it's going to make us feel. What's the feeling and the experience that we'd like to have? Because that's what we can make choices on. It's not about an outcome, because when it's about an outcome, we go into conclusion and linear thinking, and that will often disconnect us from our intuition, because our intuition is nonlinear. A lot of times it doesn't make sense. A lot of times it's telling us to do things that aren't convenient or that are a little bit scary, because our soul wants to grow, and if you're going to grow, it's going to be a little bit scary, okay? But if we're trying to do outcome, then we can stay safe and linear the whole time, okay? Boo. Okay? It's not about outcome. It's about the feeling and experience you're going for. But do have a reason and what you're going for with this, okay? Know that. Then, the next thing you've got to do is you've got to choose in that direction. And here's another thing. Go a step further. Claim it. Take it. I had an amazing tapping session yesterday. I talked to my soul, and my soul said, take it. But do you know, as a Midwestern Christian girl, you couldn't take things because that meant taking it away from someone else. Our reality has done such a number to get us to back off and play small and say, oh, if I have it, somebody else can't have it. That's scarcity. That's crap. I take it because I want it and I can have it, and the universe says, yes, you can, and if somebody else wants to do it, they can too. There is no scarcity, okay? But it's up to you to claim it. Not, and here's the don'ts, it's not for you to wait for someone else to give it to you, even God. It is up to the universe to deliver it, but you claim it first. Amazon does not put stuff on your doorway that you didn't order, okay? It doesn't. It can't happen. It doesn't know what you want. It doesn't know where you are. And it just doesn't give a fuck to give you anything if you don't say, I'm going to interact with you and ask for this thing and make an energetic exchange, okay? The universe is the same. Other people are the same. They can't give you something if you're not actually asking for it. If you're not willing to claim it and say, I'm here and I ordered that thing. So you've got to go for it. You can't wait for permission for someone else to bestow the right for you to change and grow. And if you're in a relationship like that, hightail it out of there, okay? That is no good. You can't wait for permission. Also, with this, I'm so glad I looked at my notes, because I was about to go on a tangent that who knows where that was going to go. I want to stick to my notes, okay? Don't wait for it to get worse before it gets better. A lot of us have learned, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So then we require things to be broke as fuck before we'll do something to change it. And we require a problem to fix. Like fixing and changing are exactly the same things, and they're not. So you don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for somebody else to grant you like a genie. You don't have to wait or make things worse to get yourself to finally make a choice to do something else. It doesn't have to be broken. It could just be worn out and not working well, and you can replace it and update it. That's what a lot of our beliefs are about. A lot of our beliefs came from when we were like, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14. Okay, I'm 41 now. Oh, please, I look so young. No, I'm just kidding. But that's outdated. That was the 90s, okay? If I'm still living in the 2021s as the 90s, other than maybe looking amazing to some, like the fashion's back. I'm not totally stoked about it, but that's what fashion will do. But to me, that's outdated. And if I have a belief about myself that was built when I was 14 or 3 or 1, that's outdated. It's not working for me because it's not accurate anymore. So I don't have to wait for my life to fall apart and become a flaming shit show before I decide, oh, let me get how many thousands of dollars into therapy thinking there's something wrong with me before I actually say, oh, it's just because this belief doesn't fit anymore. Oh, that was for a family system that actually doesn't exist. That was for a person that, was under 5 feet tall. Whatever. You can just update because you want to, okay? You do not have to wait for things to get worse before they get better, and you do not have to have or create a problem to fix it in order to do something different, all right? Those are don'ts. Now, here's another thing that I learned. I almost wrote about it in the post. Don't get me started there. Now, when you're talking about things getting worse, a lot of times that is our soul bringing in circumstances that will finally make us so freaking uncomfortable that we will be willing to challenge and choose something else. Because when we're that hard-headed, that's what's got to happen. But we don't have to get that. We can start being less hard-headed and change just because we recognize things aren't working the way that we'd like to, and we'd just like things to work easier, faster, better. That's okay. Also, the bottom can drop because even though we might be limited somewhat in a physical body, we are still infinite beings. And if we look for how things can get worse, they can. I will tell you that there have been numerous motivational speakers who talk about the moment they hit bottom and from then have made a steady rise to the top. That's not me. I've had so many rock bottom moments because I was curious about if it could get worse. And where my curiosity went, that's where my energy went. I could actually make them worse. I can drop the bottom. My personal growth work was not working, okay? Because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about actually feeling better and being happier. It was about other people's suffering and finding a meaning and purpose for it. But if I had a meaning and purpose for the suffering, I needed to make sure that suffering was still in there so I still had this meaning and purpose. Do you see how bad, that awful that was? Pretty bad. So the bottom can drop because you're infinite. Just know that you've got the capacity to do that. But for as bad as you can make it, you put your curiosity in the other direction. How could it get better than this? How can it turn out greater than this? What would it take for me to be happier, sustainably so, to where I actually like myself and trust myself? If we start directing our curiosity that way, that's what we're going to start getting more of. So don't make it worse, don't make it a problem, and don't look for the bottom to drop because it can. Start shifting. This is now in the do's. We're now in the do's. I can't remember which way you guys are. Anyways, do look for things to go well. Do be curious about how it could get better. Be curious about, hey, if what I'm telling myself isn't true, what else could be possible? If I'm not, or if it's possible that I'm not a worthless piece of shit, what else could I be then? Get curious about that. Things aren't going well, how could they get better? Things are going great, how could they get better? Change where you're putting your curiosity and look for things to go well. So many of us have been brought up in chaotic systems where we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. There was abuse and it didn't make any sense where or why it came, so you were just always on the lookout for it. But now we can start growing, becoming a source of self-assurance and looking for things to go well. Celebrating success. I tell all my clients, get a brag book and start writing about when you've made progress. And I don't know if you guys saw it. Maybe you didn't. Oh, it was Thomas, I'm just going to share. I got a personal message where he says, your group is proof that I am changing. Look at my posts and how they change. And they have. Have a place where you can document your change and celebrate all of them, big and small. It is very, very imperative. This isn't even like highly recommended. You've got to acknowledge when you've made progress because you're the one that's with you all the time. You're doing it for you, and you're also going to be the probably sometimes, not always, but sometimes the first to notice. Especially when it comes to, oh, I used to react this way. Oh, I would have, yelled out in obscenity at this point, and I'm keeping my calm. Somebody else won't know what's not happening that used to happen. You have to acknowledge that. You have to celebrate that. You can put that stuff in this group. This place is for you to celebrate and acknowledge. If you're in a personal coaching program with me, I'm asking about that stuff and I'm going to call it out and I'm going to celebrate that. I've had lots of follow-up emails where I said, here's where we're celebrating what you did. Okay? Celebrate and acknowledge your success. Progress makes the brain happy and it motivates us to do more. You're doing a benefit to you if you celebrate and pat yourself on the back. That will keep you going more than you being critical and driving yourself and telling yourself you should have done better. Okay? All right. Then, kind of just going on, don't expect perfection. I would think, oh yeah, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. It's funny how often I say that as like, no one didn't know. Anyways, but how many times do I still expect myself to be perfect and to handle things perfectly? And because I said I was growing and I made that a priority, I messed it all up. I didn't do that well. I should have done that better. And we expect perfection. That is a big, big don't. Perfection for a great majority of us is just a way that we've learned how to become our own abusers. We knew abuse. We saw abuse, we thought that's what was normal, and perfectionism is a wonderful tool to use. And it can also get hidden as far as having high standards or being detail-oriented, and so we can not call it for what it really is. It's fucking nasty. It's unkind. It's plain mean. Perfectionism is crap. Don't do that to yourself. So what you can do is give yourself grace. Ask, what would unconditional love do? A lot of us don't know, so ask. Ask, and you will receive. Get the information. Get the awareness. What would unconditional love do? How would she behave when I just totally, flubbed this up, okay? And allow yourself to fuck up, okay? In personal growth, you are going to be challenging and changing and becoming someone who you are not and have never been. So it's gonna feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. And quite honestly, you should be a little bit bad at it because you've never done it before. I do not know anyone, and yeah, I guess we all like the stories of the childhood prodigies who just know how to play the piano at 2 years old. And that's how we think that personal growth should be. I should just know how to be different than I've always been. It's noteworthy because it's so rare. And it's really just because they brought it in from their last lifetime. Okay, so let's stop comparing ourselves. You're doing something new. You're also trying to learn something that you've never seen done. We haven't seen healthy communication. We haven't seen what healthy boundaries in relationships look like. We haven't seen what self-trust and undeniable relationship with divine intuition is. So how would you really know? So give yourself a break and be willing to play with it and fuck up with it. That it's not a failure, it's just a trial and error. Everybody talks about that, but we're still really unwilling to experience it. The error will come. The negative feedback that says, nope, that didn't work, will come, and then we can course correct. But let yourself have that experience. Start getting excited about it, being like, this is me doing something new. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So instead of it being scary, let it be a little bit fun. The first time you put vinegar in baking soda and that anticipation because you knew the teacher knew it was going to happen, but you didn't because you hadn't seen it. And then, whoa! But it was cool. Now, if you do it in your mom's kitchen and it's all over stuff, or it's in your baking project because your proportions were off, maybe not so great. But could be, if you get into that little kid childlike wonder, it can still be a little bit fun. It didn't have to be bad or wrong. It's just something that didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, okay? Give yourself grace, give yourself space, be willing to fuck up. Those are definite do's, all right? Also, pay attention to what you're paying attention to. That's super key. I only work with people who are highly self-aware because I can't stand when people blame everybody else. Yeah, still, there's going to be people in your life that annoy you and you wish they do different, and we can work on things so that that can flow more easily. But there's got to be a level of self-awareness. And when you're self-aware, you have the ability to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. If you're watching mainstream media, you're probably going to be in a bad mood. Because, how do I know my parents do this? Because you're paying attention to bad news. But if you recognize, oh, I'm tuning into this, and then I feel not lit up afterwards. Maybe if I pay attention to something else. I've been paying attention to where everything I do wrong. I've been critical and seeing all of my mistakes. I've been paying attention to my mistakes. What if I paid more attention to where I've actually progressed? You pay attention to what you pay attention to. That's big. Also, let it come. You do your work, and then you got to let it go. There has to be space. Every keen, top-tier athlete knows the gains come in the rest period. You do the burst workout. You do the intervals. You do the heavy lifting. You do the sprinting. You do the long run. It's in the rest that things reconfigure, that the muscles get rebuilt, that new connections are solidified and strengthened. Yeah, they'll be made in there, but they'll be solidified and strengthened in the rest. When the nutrients come, when we get replenished. So there is a time to go. There's like this dance. You do your work. You try your best. And then sometimes you just got to let it go. You have to also relax in order to receive. If you're going to reconnect and have any connection with your intuition, you're going to have to let it come. You've got to relax. So what you don't do, that let me tell you, I know this one really good. Don't try so hard. You don't have to try so hard. Because you're not actually finding yourself, you're creating yourself. You're not trying to become who you were. You want to know who you're becoming. So you don't have to try so hard because you're not lost. You never were. And you don't have to rush or force or push it because you're infinite. And there is an element of timelessness to this process. It's going to keep going, even after you die. And there's nowhere that you have to get to by a certain time. If there is, that's something that you set, and it's honestly probably going to be a stressor. That's what I did. That's what I was doing wrong for a long time with my goal setting, was that they were always time-based. So I was always freaking stressed out. There was always so much tension and force and pushing, like it had to happen that day or what. The or what was just because I said so. Nothing actually happened. Don't try so hard. Don't rush, don't force, don't push. There's a time you gotta push through. But there's a difference between that and just fucking pushing because you're pushy. Because you're telling yourself you should be there already. You should know this already. That's just judgment and that's unkindness. Cut it out. Also, trying too hard, pushing, forcing, do you know what that's also doing? It is communicating, I don't trust myself. I don't trust the universe. I don't trust, you name it. It's communicating mistrust. So that's the opposite of what we're trying to go with personal growth, is to build trust in ourselves. But every time I'm doing is showing that I don't trust myself. So cut it out. You're giving yourself mixed messages. Relax a little bit. Let it come. Okay? Also, integrate, practice, play. We learn the fastest through play. So your life is just like Play-Doh and Legos, okay? Put it together, take it apart, see where the pieces go. Here they work this way for a while, but then got a new baby, house needs to be bigger. Take the Legos apart, make it bigger. This is how life works. Oh, this is who I am. Oh, wait, that belief that used to work there, like work hard, play hard, but now I'm just seeing that everything's hard. And maybe I want to work easy, play easy. Now it's time for something new, okay? Play with things. Experiment with things. You're going to be trying new things. You're going to be bad at them. So also play with learning how to apologize, okay? Because it might end up being a mess. Sorry, Mom, messed up the kitchen. Too much baking soda and vinegar. Oops. But hey, that's life, okay? Nothing is finite like ending you, okay? I can't think of the word. Anyways, all right. Also, in your personal growth, feel your feelings. Don't just talk about them, and don't try to make them go away. You got to feel them. You do not have to relive the experience. You do not have to indulge in the story about the feeling. Just actually have to let your body have the process. You let yourself have the experience and have the feelings. So much of personal growth is us trying to bypass, escape, or get away from things that we don't want to feel. So much of our personal growth is just an attempt to distance us from who we are and what we have experienced that we want to deny or push away. Let yourself have the experience. Your soul called it in, and there's something there for you. And if you allow yourself to have it, then you get it. And then you don't have to waste your energy trying to hold it out. Now, I thought I was actually really good at this, because if somebody can talk about it feelings, that's me. Talk about it all day. But I actually was working with a coach, and she said, just feel it. And I started talking about it, and she said, just feel it. I didn't want to. It was awful for about 30 seconds. And then my body started to relax, because I was like, oh my God, I could sense how much energy I was using by trying to push it out of my system. And all of a sudden, I was having a flood of emotions, but it was so relaxing, even though I believed the emotion was frustration. I was relaxed with frustration, if that's not a mind bender. But personal growth, let yourself feel your feelings so you get the message and you get to have all that energy that you've been using pushing it out. Personal growth in here, this isn't even on my notes, and we're going to talk next week. Mark your calendars. I'm going to tell you 5 reasons, 5 signs of whether, of your progress. Here's 5 signs you're making progress, okay? But personal growth is not so you're happy all the time, because highs and lows are going to come. The happiness is about having all of you. That's how it gets to be there all the time. It's not that you're laughing all the time, chewing bubblegum in the sunset on a stand-up paddleboard in a size 0 bikini, or whatever fun looks like on a commercial, okay? Happiness is having all of you, which includes, I'm frustrated right now, so I'm actually letting myself be frustrated right now and get the message. The message that frustration often has is you're out of alignment with yourself. You're trying to do something that your soul is saying it's not time to do that thing right now. That's not what's actually going to deliver the peace and joy that I'm looking for. Oh, the frustration was me trying too hard. Oh, okay. Thanks. Let myself feel the frustration. Got the message. Now I don't have to try so hard anymore. Okay, moving on. It can be much easier and faster, okay? Also then, on the do's, commit. Now, all in, all in. There's no back door, there's no escape hatch, you're all in. But here's again, how do you balance that with not trying too hard? And what I like to say as a running coach is you commit to the next step. And the next step includes the next run. You don't make yourself run yourself ragged, run yourself into injury, insist that you go. You look at your steps, and if you're too tired to go on, you stop so that you want to go on the next run. I know lots of collegiate female athletes who no longer play the sport that they went to college for because their coach drove them into the ground. They lost the joy of the game. They don't do it anymore. And then because that was their main form of exercise, they got out of embodiment, they gained a lot of weight, but they will not play that game because that coach's commitment was not to their next step. It was to an end goal outcome. That's what happens. We drive ourselves into the ground. We go into burnout. The commitment's to the next step. And personal growth is, how do I get that next piece of me? How do I get to see that next part of me? What's the next version of me? Next, and present. Having my feelings all the time. That's what we're committing to keeping going. And sometimes, one of the tenets of personal coaching with yours truly, sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. Now, people who want to go fast like myself and like you, that's annoying. But slow is smooth and smooth is fast. You commit to the next step and you do what it takes, even if it's taking a rest, even if it's giving yourself a break, and sometimes when it is pushing through because it's uncomfortable, but you know that's what on the other side is what you're going for. But you commit to that. You commit to saying, I'm going to see this through. And I'm going to take the action that's going to get me there. We're thinking long game, not short game. Okay, that's commitment. Also, on your do's list, and we'll do this too because I'll put them together, try lots of things. I had one person in the group and I was so grateful, Foz, for your honesty about what keeps you from doing personal growth. Is there's so many options. How do you know which one to pick from? Everybody thinks that they know the answer, like there's just one. Try lots of things. There are some personalities that do well with finding one thing and mastering that, just going full in, complete immersion doing that. People like myself, I can't. I have to try a million things and I put things together in a totally different way. Neither one of them are right or wrong. But there is not one system that is a one-size-fits-all for everybody, for every problem. Even things like the things I talked about last time, the 5 different ways to handle emotional intensity, one thing is not going to work every single time. That's why I gave you 5. And I actually think there was actually 10 when I listed them out. So try them all. If one's not working, set it down, try something else. Just do what works, not what should work or what you want to work or what necessarily worked the last time. That might be a good starter point, but as soon as you recognize it's not working, you move on. So try lots of things. Listen to lots of different people. Read different books. But it's all going to be but what they should always be doing is pointing you to you and getting you connected to yourself. Remembering physically, emotionally, spiritually who you really are. That's what they should be doing. If anything, here's a don't, if any spiritual personal growth evolution work is saying trust someone outside of yourself, ask someone outside of yourself, it's bunked. Don't do it. It should be connecting you with you. Then, when it's coming to the last couple of things I was talking about, integrating, playing, paying attention to what you're paying attention to, letting it come, feeling your feelings, do not keep this on the mental level. A lot of you smarty pants, and I know because I did this, I would even mentalize my feelings and I would theorize all of this stuff so it stayed in the abstract. You have to put it in your life. You have to play with it. It's like dress up. You're going to put some things on and actually become the character for a while to see if it actually works. You're actually going to get in your car and drive to a new group and be uncomfortable about meeting new people because you can't just do that stuff in your head. It has to come out of the theoretical and become practical. That's why I'm all about pragmatics, okay? So any personal growth, and especially when it comes to spiritual stuff, it's super easy to keep it in this etheric realm. It's got to be in the body, and your body's going to have to move, okay? Then finally, honor free will. Yours, you can choose. You can choose something that you know is not in your best interest, and you have the free will to do that. Celebrate that. When you do it, just acknowledge that you did it and say, I got to do that because I have free will. That's you being fucking badass infinite being, okay? But also honor other people's free will and their soul journeys. A huge don't. This is a flaming sign here. Do not step on someone else's free will. In your personal growth, your awareness is going to expand and you're going to see more, a broader, bigger picture of what's going on. And that might include other people, and you might be aware that they are resisting or refusing a part of their self. You might see that they are making choices that are not working for them. You might even just be so freaking excited about this thing that is working for you that you want them to do it too. Don't do it. You don't know better for anyone else. Your personal growth is for you and it's about you. If you're excited and lit up, you can say, can I tell you about this thing that I'm doing and what I've experienced? You have to have a request from someone else. It doesn't have to be verbal, but all of us know vibes and energies, and when people are not asking for your help, it is not helpful to give it to them. And when you figured something out and you've woke up, because it will happen. Your awareness will expand. You will have busted through a previous glass ceiling and have elevated levels of living and loving in your personal growth. But that doesn't mean that you know better for someone else. You don't get to choose for somebody else, and don't judge them for what they're choosing, because you don't know what their soul has in line for them. How many times in mine, and let me tell you, when you become a life coach, you know how other people should live, and people are coming to ask you, so, friends, I know, you are so lucky, you don't even have to pay. I'm just going to tell you, I was an asshole. Okay? Now, I didn't just do this all the time. I wasn't always an asshole, but I definitely had some asshole moments where I basically told somebody what they should be doing, and it was not welcome, and it actually wasn't kind, and let me tell you, sometimes it wasn't even accurate. Because I had more awareness, but I didn't have the entire picture, and then now being like, I see what they were doing now. How arrogant of me to think that I knew what they should be doing, but I didn't ask them. Energetically or verbally. So do not use your personal growth as a way to show superiority. And a lot of times, let me tell you, the superiority comes in the guise of helping. If somebody asks you for it because they've noticed you've changed, in your heart and in your mind, you squee with joy. Oh my God, it's noticeable. It's working. And then you happily share. Sometimes you can tell in someone's energy that they are desperate. Tell me what you were doing. And then you say, can I just tell you what I'm doing? Well, here's what I'm doing. Not here's what you should do. Okay? Just pay attention to the energy, because a big don't is don't step on anyone's free will. Okay? Now, we are way over time because I'm trying to keep this to a half hour, and holy cow, this stuff was so interesting to me. I had to keep going, and I didn't want to shortchange you at all. But I am going to say, if you are interested in personal growth and you want to take it to the next level and you want to know how the hell do you slow down to speed up because I just want to go fast, or how do you get out of a habit or challenge it without just stuffing it down, how do you feel feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them, all of these things, personal growth so that you become happier, more calm, more connected with yourself, confident, trust in yourself, like I say, so you can be confident and happy as fuck. 90-day relationship remodel. It is honestly the best program I've ever seen, because it's built on a future forward focus to where we don't have to go into the crap first. We're immediately going to these targets so that you have intrinsic motivation from the get-go. Okay? Personal growth. On the do's list, 90-day relationship remodel. Oh, it's so eloquent. I didn't even plan that out, but that's on the do's side, or is the do side on this side. Don't wait. Don't pass this up. Do get a 90-day relationship remodel. Jump in, because it's actually fun. You get to learn about you. This is like 12 weeks just about you, for you to be happier and more confident and trust yourself, okay? I love it. This is the stuff that lights me up, so you can light me up by lighting you up. Do you see? You be selfish to be selfless. You help me by helping you. It works. It's a win-win. Fringe benefits. Fringe all over the place, okay? Let's bring that fashion back. Fringe everywhere. Let's all have 90-day relationship remodels, okay? I want to talk to you about this. Or whatever it is, if you're interested in personal growth, just want to see if it's the right move, what's the right move, what else is possible, is there something else available? Let's talk so that you can be committing to your next step, your next version of yourself, okay? I want that for you. Let's talk. Please don't wait. I am sitting on pins and needles. I can't wait to hear from you, and I can't wait to talk to you again next week. All right, I love you madly. Mwah.